Hey everyone, welcome back to the He Heals podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about my journey of healing from shame. So, growing up, I didn't know what shame was, obviously, probably not until a couple years ago. But what I did know is that growing up, I never wanted anyone to know what I was struggling with. I never wanted anyone to know my problems. And as an adult, now I can look back and see that, but I've been trying to figure out like where that stemmed from. And so because of my education, if you didn't know, I'm a nurse. I automatically thought of Erickson's stage of psychosocial development. And so I think it's toddlers, like age 2 to 3. Kids are learning to either be autonomous or they struggle with shame and doubt. And part of me, in my healing journey, had a lot of resentment towards my parents because my thoughts were like, if they talked to me a certain way or raised me a certain way, then I wouldn't have, or that I would have been more comfortable to talk to them about my problems and I wouldn't have struggled with all the shame. And over the years, I've dealt with a lot of resentment, but honestly, that's a podcast for another day. So struggled with shame my entire life, and I think the peak of it was, you guessed it, in that relationship, my that toxic relationship I was in, because I was dealing with so much hurting in so many different areas, and I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to know I wasn't perfect. I didn't want anyone to know I had these problems. And it got to the point where I isolated myself because I couldn't be real with anyone. The friends that I did have, I couldn't be honest with them. So I couldn't even say like I had real friendships at the time because I couldn't tell them the truth. I was putting up this facade that everything was okay when it really wasn't. And so I was in this really dark place where I isolated myself. And thinking back, I realized that I was protecting myself because my brain was protecting me, and it's a trauma response, and my brain meant good, but it actually was the most awful self-sabotaging thing in my life at that time. So it wasn't until after that breakup, one of my friends, who's my best friend now, we were at church, and she mentioned to me that she was going to go to our church's young adult group. It's called Safe House. Shout out Safe House if you're watching. She told me she was going to go, and I was like, perfect. I had always low-key wanted to go because people told me about it. They told me I should go. I knew I needed friends. I knew I needed community, but there was no way I was going to go by myself. Like, it was a new environment that was way too scary for me. So when she told me she was going to go, I was like, perfect. I'll tag along with you. So we met up, we went, and I was just completely in awe of my fellow peers, how open they were with their problems. And they talked about some really deep things, but they were just so transparent and just so vulnerable. And that was something I had never experienced before in my life. I didn't open up at first, but eventually I did. And I talked about my breakup, and I bawled my eyes out. Like, I really did. And just talking about it, like, took so much weight off my shoulders. Of course, my pain wasn't gone, all the hurt and my problems weren't gone, but just talking about it helped. And just the love and encouragement that I received from those people, it all helped so much. And what I realized was that I wasn't alone. Because, of course, I'm not the only person on earth to go through a really rough breakup or to have have been through a toxic relationship. I'm not the only one. And that's the thing. The devil wants us to think that we are alone. That's how he gets us. He wants us to be isolated and think that, man, I'm the only one going through this. I don't want to tell anybody. But that is how we destroy shame, is by talking about it, because we're not alone. One of my favorite Bible verses is Revelations 12:11. It says, and they have conquered him, they're talking about the devil. They have conquered the devil by the blood of the Lamb, that's Jesus, and by the word of their testimony. That is how we conquer the devil. That is how we conquer shame, is by sharing our testimony. When you share with people what you are going through, that is where the healing starts, because you're not alone. We are not alone. But I will say that, yes, we need to talk about it, but also you need a safe place. So that young adult group, Safe House, lived up to his name. It was a safe place for us to talk about the real struggles that we were going through. And you need a safe place as well. Growing up, I didn't feel like I had that with my parents, unfortunately. And so I kept everything in. And now I have vowed that I would live my life being a safe place for other people. But you need that safe place too. So whether that's a parent, a friend, a pastor, a mentor, or a small group from your church, please find a safe place to share your pain, share your struggles, and that is where your healing begins. So that is it. Thank you guys. Don't forget, I need you to share this episode, because someone out there needs to hear this. So share this on all your socials, tag us, and I'll see you next time.